everybody. This is Danny, and I am one of the admins of the Dark Side, along with the other amazing three admins of the Dark Side. If you were not here last week, we have Erica, we have Mika, aka Ghosty, and we have Candace.
Hello.
For this discussion, we will be discussing The Good Luck Girls by Charlotte Nicole Davis. How did everybody enjoy the book? Let's just start with some very, very, very quick initial thoughts.
I loved it. Oh, did I love it? It reminded me of so many things, and I had an amazing time with it. But I especially just got me thinking about how Black people were definitely a part of that whole Western movement, and it was fabulous. We make that shit look good, so it was great.
Really enjoyed it. It was a reread for me, but I looked at it from a different lens this time, and it was just really, really profound in so many different ways. Enjoyed it.
100%. It definitely has a lot of points that can be discussed. I too enjoyed the book and the different themes that we were able to pluck out of the story because, like I say, there are so many. And it's like layers to it, which is even better. Perfect book to talk about. So let's go on and jump in and get started. One of the main things that I really, really wanted to start out with was the sisterhood aspect of the story. Of course, the story opens up and you are witnessing Clementine get prepared to become one of the night workers, pretty much. I forgot what they're officially called in the book.
Sundown Girls, I believe.
Sundown Girls. So she's getting prepared. She just turned 16. She's getting prepared to become one of the Sundown Girls in the Welcome House, which is pretty much just an adult brothel spot. Um,
Hmm.
and they're treating it as if it's something to be excited about, like it's a milestone, like, oh my God, you finally made it. Let's celebrate you. Let's make you pretty. Let's get you prepared for this amazing night that's going to make you a woman, that type situation. And you have Aster, who is her biological sister, who is also a sundown girl. And she's not as excited about it because, of course, she knows the truth behind what's to come. Clementine does not, because she was a part of a different group before, she turned 16. And then we have Mallow, who is a very close friend of both of the previous mentioned sisters. We have Tansy, who is also a friend, and we have Violet, who is not a friend of anybody in that house. Nobody really like her. Homegirl got an attitude. She does the most. She's rude. She a snitch. All kind of stuff. But as the story goes on, you start to see those relationships develop. So I just wanted to ask you all about how you feel about that sisterhood, found family aspect of it all. Like, how do you feel like the girls function as a chosen family as the story goes on?
I'm gonna just slide right on in here because I've been waiting my whole life for this. I just, I love them. I love them. I love them. I love them. I love that in the beginning, Clem is being dressed up like a lamb for the slaughter. It is so sad and like it's heartbreaking in like her naivete, the fact that she is so excited about it because she's excited for a room. She's excited to not have to work anymore and to wear pretty dresses without knowing the cost, like what she'll really have to pay in order to live that life. And she learns really quickly what is going to cost her. And it's just so indicative of what girlhood is and the fact that you don't get the beautiful things without all of the ugly things. And I love that part. But their sisterhood was beautiful to me. I love that she told her not to take the sweet thistle, that she warned her against that because she was essentially warning her away from like avoiding her problems. And that was beautiful. I love the friendship between the girls. I love Violet. I adore her because Violet is a lot of things, but she is also Miss Get Shit Done, okay? And she has those perks. She knows how to use them, and she is essential to the group. Plus, she don't take no shit. Like Aster can tell anybody anything, but she can't just talk to Violet like that. And I love that because their dynamic is one of my absolute favorites. They challenge each other, and the growth in their relationship is some of my favorite. I love watching them grow up together, learning to depend on each other, and also getting their freedom together, because it's not just the freedom of choice, but it's also being free with people that you care about and getting to witness that for them, especially with Aster and Clementine. She gets to see who her sister has the ability to become now that she's not in that house, and the things that happened to Aster didn't happen to her. So I loved it. It was everything to me. I love it so much. Aster is my favorite character, and then Violet. They're my babies.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to like the sisterhood of it all, you kind of see, you get to witness the growth as the journey takes place. Clementine, Tansy, and Mallow, by them getting together before becoming Sundown Girls, and the relationships that they build and how they lean upon each other in that on that side of things. And I feel like that relationship was explained a little bit at, throughout the beginning of the text. And it
Hmm.
painted this picture so that relationship was already there. And Aster, I feel like she kind of attached onto it as well, because of course, before she became a Sundown Girl, she was over there too. I feel like in a way she was kind of fending for herself.
I think with Aster, the thing about her is she's always been, and I identify with her so much on this. I think I know what you're talking about. She's the eldest sister. She's been taking care of Clementine since way before they got to the Welcome House. So when she got there, she was all about her sister. Like it was just her and her sister. And I know anytime I've been in a position with like me and my little brother in new situations, my mindset was always, it's me and you. I have your back, you have mine. Whereas his mindset as the younger brother who is more protected and doesn't have to worry the way I do, his was more open minded. And I think that's the same way that it was with Clem, which is why she made friends, but Aster didn't. It was on purpose. Like she's thinking of her and her sister. I have to protect myself and I have to protect you. And that's where her focus is. Whereas Clem is thinking, I can just have fun because I have my sister to take care of me. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about, like their differences a little bit.
Felt like Aster was friends with Mallow and Tansy as much as she could be before she left. Because after you become the sundown girl, you're not really supposed to talk to the day workers anymore, the daytime. What do they call them? Sunshine girls. So I didn't feel like they weren't friendly. I just felt like they didn't have the opportunity, like they've just been separated for a while. And so, but when they saw each other, they were cordial. Like when she said, "Come on, let's go, y'all. I need your help. How much you love us." You know what I'm saying? She was like, that was immediately there. So I think that bond was still there. So I felt like she probably was up there and ended up caring for many of them as younger siblings, right? Because Clem was older than the other two, so she probably ended up caring for them also. Make sure chores got done. Like, come on, y'all, we got to get it together. I just think that because of the distance, they just weren't as close as they were to Clem.
I think when she was talking about it, like early on in the books, I wish I had the like a quote for this because I remember her saying that she wasn't close to them, and when she went and got them, it wasn't how much you love us, it's how much do you love Clem, because she knew that they would be there for her sister because her sister would be there for them. I think she knew that they had that relationship, and then when they were on the run, she could actually depend on other people as opposed to having to be the one depended upon. I think that's where her relationships really start to blossom because she has that ability where she's not like, she is the leader. Obviously, she takes on that leadership role so easily, but it's like I can depend on other people too. I don't have to do everything. I don't always have to be right. If I make decisions, I can make mistakes, like that kind of stuff. At least that's what I got from it. I do love the way that their relationships grow, probably a little bit more because of that, because I feel like Aster is the kind of character who needs proof. Like, don't just say you care about me, show me. I think she just grew up that way. I love her. And I want her to be happy. My
It's,
baby.
it seems as though she may find happiness as the story progresses in book two. I ain't there yet, but you know.
I'm gonna read it so quick, like you have no idea. I have been putting off reading it only because I knew we were gonna do this, and I did not want to confuse anything from book two with the stuff from book one. But as soon as this meeting is over, I'm reading book two.
I was wondering who was going to read book two.
Me.
Um, I have to agree with Ghosty about being the older sister and the younger sister, the difference in the age group too. Being an older sister myself, you feel like you have to protect. And that's, I had to protect my sister. That's what I got to do. Protect my siblings, my younger siblings. And again, Clementine was very free spirited. Of course, she was in roughly the same age as her two best friends, like 3 to 4 months apart, roughly. As I would say, a lot of our younger siblings are very young and naive sometimes. So, and then you could tell that they're the baby and had her way to an extent. But I will say, Violet got on my forever aching nerves up until a certain point of the book, and she had my heart. She had my heart. She grabbed my heart so tight. Violet was one of my most hated at the beginning.
When they were talking, when Aster was talking about my girl Violet, I said, there's more to my girl, okay? And I also knew when there was that knock at the door, I was thinking it was gonna be like Mama Floor, right? And then when it was Violet, I said, "Oh, Violet about to be in on the plan." I knew it. I'm like, there's more to her. There's so much more to her than this like cold girl veneer. I'm so happy to be a whore. Like that's not, it's not real. I knew that her facade was hiding some other things, and I was so glad that they explored her and that they got to see her vulnerability, everything that she puts on underneath that mask to protect herself. I loved her from day one. I don't know why. She just spoke to me.
Well, going back and looking at the whole sisterhood aspect as a whole, and of course, we know that they're kind of pushed. Well, not as far as like the relationship. Well, Violet, yes, of course, it took some time for that, but they're ultimately pushed to be kind of like in this group. It kind of brought up a question for me, mainly focusing on the core. Oh shit, the core four,
Hey.
which is Clementine, Aster, Mallow, and Tansy. Like with the four girls who already had a relationship, it made me wonder, like, how far would you go for the person that you care about and that you truly have love for? Like, how far would you take it? How would you handle that?
You have to be a serious ride to die, ride to die.
I'm all the way there. I'm riding so we don't die. Let's go so we don't die.
If it's us, yes, and my sister, yes. But I will say yes. I'm almost ride to die for my baby. Yes, ride to die.
I'm definitely not like that with everybody, but for the people that I genuinely care about, absolutely. Like, I don't know what we gonna do, but like, let's get this plan in motion and let's make a move. Cause we gotta go. Time ain't even on our side. Let's go. I don't think that there's too far to go for the people that you care about, especially when injustice is involved. What was being done to them was just so wrong. And when you look at the world building of just like of this place that they live in that I cannot remember the name of, there's so much debt put on this class of people that there aren't very many options for them. And then the ones that like the options that they do have, their bodies are just put to the test. They're broken, their minds are broken. You have these revener guys with these magic powers that break you like psychologically by getting into your head and doing things to you, and your body is used, and then you're given this drug to keep you just in awareness, but not really. Like it does what drugs are supposed to do. And I think in that instance, there's no measure that is too far to keep the people you love from having to go through that over and over and over again, or from even having to go through it once, which is Clem's, situation, which would have been Tansy and Mallow's situation too, because they weren't old enough. And then also, when you think about the fact that after they age out of this system at 40, if they make it that far, they leave with nothing. Most of the the sundown girls end up on the street with nothing after years and years of giving their body to people. You just end up homeless, penniless. That's
Mhm.
terrible. And you can't work your way out of debt either. Because I remember that was explained in the book too.
Right.
You're just working to work, you're not
Right.
actually working to advance.
Yeah, you're working to work because no matter what, every day you earn a new expense. It's like you're running on
Yep.
a hamster wheel. You're moving and you're moving, but you're not going anywhere.
The only way to beat the system is to get out of it. Y'all have got to get out of here.
So with that being said, I wanted to ask you all, how did you feel about the plan that they came up with in order to escape? And did you have any doubts when that plan was taking place?
I Okay, so the plan. Let's go over the plan one time. Okay. The plan is they done hid this man. They hid his body, I believe in Clem's room, wasn't it?
Yep.
Because
Hmm.
they couldn't get rid of his body. There's like we just don't have time to do that. So we
And he's so
can't get rid of
massive.
yeah, we can't get rid of his body. And they wouldn't have anywhere to hide it that the reveners wouldn't see. So that was a problem. And of course my girl Violet is in on it now, and we don't know if we can trust her for real. And but she was supposed to dress up as the brag and leave the house, and then what, like set up something to catch the girls who were going to be going out of a window in, I believe, Aster's room.
Yeah. It was like a hay
And
wagon or something.
yeah, it was something to break their fall so they don't hurt themselves going out the window. And I did have just a little bit of doubt. And it was never in my girl Violet, because I knew my girl Violet was on the right side of history. Okay. But I I was afraid of something happening to Aster, because she's working the floor. She's doing what she always does. She's on the clock, and it is what it is. And she was so, y'all, my heart. She just did not want what was inevitably going to happen. And it had happened one too many times. And she's just so over it. And she's just like ready to be free. And she was finally in a position where that could actually happen. And like my girl had it in her mind, I'm not doing this. And I don't care what I have to do to get out of it, but I'm not going to be assaulted again, right?
Hmm.
So I was just hoping that she wouldn't be put in that position, but of course she was, because men are gonna man no matter what. And you get this guy, he seems normal. Of course he isn't, and he's awful, but she uses her brain, big brain, okay? And she tricks him into drugging himself, which is just the pièce de résistance. And then she goes out the window with the rest of the girls, and Violet is there. I was so nervous. My heart was in my throat, because I didn't want Aster to have to experience another sexual assault, another moment where her agency was stripped from her. I didn't want that for her, especially when she was like this close to freedom. It may not be the kind of freedom that they had always dreamed of, but it was something. It was better than being in that house, right?
Hmm.
And I was nervous. I was nervous for my baby.
I was nervous. Yes. I wasn't nervous at that. I was nervous at the beginning. My oh so not favorite character walks in. I'm like, this broad is a snitch. She's getting ready to tell it. I don't know how you're gonna do it. You might as well go on ahead and X her, Esther. I'd rather for you to do that than go follow up, go through another plan. But when the plans start coming along, it made me think, how is Violet going to truly dress up and be as tall as this dude and somewhat heavy as this guy, or not heavy, but have the same thickness roughly to portray his image as the brag. And I was like, y'all gonna get caught. Y'all gonna get caught right at the last minute. But I have to say, old girl did it. She did it. She did it. And then I said, okay, so she got Clementine out. I have a funny feeling she gonna leave my girl Esther in the house, and she's getting ready to get violated. The whole how they got out the door, Clementine and I mean Violet got out the door. That was smooth. I wouldn't have thought about doing that. I wouldn't. But I have to say, them girls worked together.
Mhm.
Ride or die. They were.
I got nervous when we got to the part of her needing to use the brag as a distraction in order to kind of like excuse herself to get to her room for that said privacy for her to escape. He would not calm the fuck down, you know? It's kind of like, hey there, pretty lady, and he just latched onto her like a leech. And I was really nervous on as to like how she would kind of get away from him because the plan was never for him to follow her. So it was just that threw me off. But like you mentioned earlier, Mika, with the poisoning, with him poisoning himself, because of course she used his ego against him, which brilliant. Him getting him drugging himself and, and falling asleep on the bed and passing out or whatever. My heart swelled because I was like, they're gonna make it. They're going to make it. And they're on their way to freedom. But is it really freedom? Because in a world like this, will they ever be free? Probably not. Who knows? Read book two, I guess.
I think freedom comes from the ability to make the choice. When you are stripped of your ability to choose whether you do this thing or you don't, whether you're on the run or you're not, whether you stay and fight or you just give up and die. I feel like all of those choices matter, and the freedom is in the ability to actually make the choice, because she could have stayed, Violet could have stayed, Tansy and Mallow could have stayed. Like some people could have chosen to go with Clem or not. Clem also could have chosen to just stay and go on and die. And that was like the beginning of them actually making choices for themselves.
Mhm.
So, like, when they decided that they were going to leave and they were going to be on the run and they were going to try and get their favors removed and all of this stuff, I thought that that was the very beginning of them having freedom, because it's not freedom like I thought it would be, but it's free. I'm choosing something. I get to choose something. I don't have anybody telling me when to wake up or what to wear or who to screw. I can make those choices or not make those choices myself for the first time in a long time, because they didn't live there forever, but they had been there for a while. And I love that. I thought that was so beautiful, because freedom for our people it's never been easy, but it's always been worth it. And I feel like this book really does that well without doing it in the traditional way that we usually see. Because, it is very, very similar to like enslaved narratives, and it shows it off a little bit differently. And I feel like that subtle difference was nice, at least for me, because I have read a lot of those narratives and I was just wasn't quite ready for another one.
I think that what you're saying is true, but just to add on to it, I don't think that they really recognized that they were free. Once they finally got out of the Welcome House and they were on their way, I don't think that they recognized it as being free at that point. I think
Hmm.
that freedom was more of a destination versus the journey they were taking.
I agree with that. I think they had to get it in their heads that they were free, but I also understand that that's a part of any kind of toxic dynamic like that. Even when you're out of it, you're not out of it until your mind is set free. And that takes a lot longer than getting your body free. So I was with them for the journey because I'm like, it'll click eventually. And it does, because I remember at some point they're like, I think they're in the desert or they're somewhere and it's beautiful and they're waking up at their own times and they're able to go off, without one another. And even though we're not all together, I don't have my eyes on you. I'm not worried about you because we're free, we're okay, we're safe, we're all of those things. And I think it had started to set in right around there that like we are actually living our own lives.
Hmm.
It was a beautiful moment. It was good. I really enjoyed that.
I did want to just kind of get in there and just remind y'all about my girl May Owens from Sin Eater and what she said about freedom. She was like, mayhaps freedom is the option to choose.
Even if both options are piss poor.
Even if both options are piss poor, the girls don't know what they do with the braids. They didn't even know what they were running from. So they really have to trust in the fact that there is, on the up and up with whatever we do here, it's got to be better than what you're gonna come to, right? Because the sundown girls aren't allowed to corrupt the mindset or the thought process of the other. You know what I'm saying? Like the good luck girls aren't allowed to tell the sunshine girls what goes on with the brag, what to expect, to prepare. They're not taught that. So they don't even know what they're running from, but they know because of Aster and Violet's seriousness that whatever it is, it's worth it. And so I think that's another thing when it comes to choice. What is worth, risking it all in order to make that choice? Just thought that was, interesting. Like through the whole text, do they ever find out what they're running from? I don't remember it being a discussion, but it was just something that crossed my mind.
I think Clem knows now after the Bragg's failed attempt to assault her. But Tansy and Mallow, I think that they have a clue, but I don't remember it being I don't remember it being outright said. I think it's more of an implicit thing. One of those things where we don't talk about it, but everybody kind of knows what we're here for. Once they're on the run, there's a moment where it becomes a little bit clearer that they all know that something really bad is happening. It feels like one of those poor secrets. Everybody knows, but no one names it kind of thing. That's what I got from it. Was that they know, but no one talks about it. And obviously in the house you can't talk about it because there's spies everywhere. You got, people like Violet who might turn on you. You have Mama Flora who is listening, waiting for you to be weak. You have the Reveners, you have the Braggs. There's just nobody that you can trust to talk to or ask questions because of who it could get back to and how that will reflect on you with the punishments from the magical security guard. Because what they do is really terrible.
Yeah, those ravens are off the hook.
Yeah.
Raveners, excuse me, Raveners.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like I wouldn't step out of line there either. Because you're not about to play in my mind, especially since they know what it's like, considering when you get there, they sick the revenants on you anyway to break your mind, to show you what is in store if you step out of line. They cage them mentally as soon as they cage them physically so that you don't even think of there being an option of you getting out of here before you turn 40 or you die.
Yeah, I think to a certain extent, when it comes to like Mallow and Tansy, they don't fully understand what it is that they're running from. I think they get a clear idea based off of what they seen lying on the
Yeah, when they was
bed.
helping to clean up the crime scene.
Yeah, like seeing that is like, oh shit, get really real down in the paint, like, but when it comes to experiencing it and witnessing it is kind of two different things. So I do think that to a certain extent they don't really fully understand, but they know enough to where it's like we gonna follow our girl ass and get up out of here.
Because you see that with Clem too, with her first brag, she knows what is about to happen, but she seems to think until he starts physically assaulting her, she thinks that she can slow it down and have things happen at her pace. She thinks she has some agency in what is happening here. And she quickly realizes that she doesn't. And that's when everything flips. But like right before that, she really thinks she can talk to him and like we're going to have a mutual experience when in reality the experience is his. You're just a body. She didn't get that until she got it.
Hmm. That struggle with the identity is heavy in the book too. Of course, like with her recognizing I'm not a human being to this person. I'm not a human being to these people. I'm disposable. My words don't matter. My no doesn't matter. No matter what, I have to do what they say. I have to fall in line. And if I don't fall in line, then, that's where, the recognition of disposability comes from. But I do find it interesting. All of these girls, I think, except for Violet, I think that's her actual name. But all of these girls' original names are not what they're called and not, throughout the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that plays a part in it as well. It's like that separation. And I think that when Clementine was experiencing that traumatic event, that separation was almost going to take place until she fought back. So it didn't have a chance to set in like with the other girls, because like with Aster, she talks about it all the time, the disassociation. She just lays there and let them do what they need to do until they leave, and then she comes back.
like
um
like Celie and Mister
oh god.
when he climb on top of her to do his business.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Just like that. And of course Violet uses the sweet thistle to drift on away.
Hmm. And I wanted to bring that point up too as well, like with the PTSD and the mental health of it all. Okay, like we're following these girls. They're on this journey. They moving forward because they have to go and try to find Lady Ghost, because Lady Ghost is the person that's going to remove this favor off of their body, which is just a branding that all of the good luck girls who work in the welcome houses have to
Mm.
identify who they belong to or whatever.
A magic brand that heats up when they hide it. It starts burning their skin the longer it's covered up. So
Wow.
you also can't hide that you're property.
Hmm. And I've noticed that with that aspect of it, and also as they're taking their journey, you get to witness like the PTSD that's within. I want to say heavily more so with Esther than Aster. I want to say Aster. Her name's Aster.
Her name is Aster.
No, I keep saying Esther, but um you get to see the PTSD within Aster as they take this journey to try to find Lady Ghost to remove this favor, right? Like you hear the negative self-talk that she has, because it's this constant anxiety of you're not going to make it, you're going to die, what are you doing, you're stupid, like that kind of thing. You can't protect her. So you see the negative self-talk, and then with the sweet thistle you see the addiction of it all, which is also a form of like mental health, that induces mental health issues with, we I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
The hypervigilance, the lack of trust, the just all of it. I feel like this book really spoke on that part of it and shined a light on what it's like when you leave abuse.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about that. If you guys do not mind following me, it's gonna be a
Mm-hmm.
bumpy road, but we're gonna get there. Okay.
Yeah. I think the number one thing is you can leave abuse, but abuse doesn't leave you. It leaves a mark and it changes the way that you process things, the way that you process love, the way that you process affection, attention, like motives, the way that you move in the world. It's even hard to remember who you were before you had this thing. How did I think before? What did I used to do when I was bored? What did I like? What were things that I enjoyed? It's hard to go back to being your own person when you've been somebody else's person for a very long time. When they can trap you mentally, it doesn't matter where your body is. You have to get your mindset to a different place before you can actually feel like you made it out.
I have
And
to totally agree with you on that one. You said
yeah,
it. It was very well. You said it very well.
thank
Very
you.
well said. There's no more add-ons. You topped it. That is so correct.
Thank you. I be thinking.
Yes, you do. You do, girl.
I love this book so much.
When I tell you this book has so many themes and different things, and I'm not going to stray away, but it makes you think about either yourself or someone that has been in that place and or that's going through that is in that spot currently now and trying to help him or her get out of that situation. If not get out, help them go through and let them know they're not by themselves. The girls that went through the abuse and they were by themselves. But when they came together as a family, as one, when one hurt, all hurt. And we're not gonna leave you behind.
Yes.
Do you feel as though with everything that they went through, do you feel like it was a forced found family due to trauma bonding?
Mm.
Yes, because Violet, okay, I'm gonna call it Esther because I know I'm messing up her name. Esther and Clementine. I'm gonna say yes to the first two. They were trauma bond. That was due to trauma. Clementine was close to being traumatized, if not traumatized, most definitely, but not the way that they were traumatized. And then the two best friends was more of I'm going to protect you because you're like my little sister, and they didn't want to go through that trauma. They said they'd rather die than go through the trauma instead of living at the house. They'd rather die.
They for sure were trauma bonded because being sold by your family is a trauma in and of itself as a young girl. So I think that right there automatically helps you to attach yourself to, whoever you find, right? Because humans are meant to be socialized. And so I think that was definitely a part of it. I don't feel like it was forced because Violet was still standoffish and they didn't still trust her for a while. Same with Z when he popped into the picture. They didn't trust him. He was around until he grew on them, until there was proof that he was, ready, willing, and able to join the group. So I don't feel like it was forced initially, but then the naturally taken bonds, I can't think of the word I'm thinking of, but it happened organically. There you go. So yes, they were forced trauma in the beginning, but then eventually organically it began to grow into, closer, tighter knit.
I think what you were thinking of was like forced proximity, like in that being how they like there is it's kind of this is our group and it is what it is, especially with my girl Violet because she put them threats down. If y'all don't take me, I'm telling. And I 100% believe that there might have been some snitching involved, especially if a threat to her was made. I don't think that she would have just gone out of her way to do that, but if it was her or them and they left her behind, I think she would pick herself. And I can't 100% say that I disagree with that because why ain't y'all take me? Why would y'all leave me here? But anyway,
I'm gonna leave you
I
there because you have dogged us and mistreated us all this time. Do I understand why she did those things? Yes, but do I understand why they really did not want to take her
well
with
see,
them?
I'm not
Absolutely.
saying that I'm not saying I don't understand it. I was just, it was more so of like a joke. I understand why they wouldn't want her there, why they wouldn't trust her. I
Right.
100%
Yeah.
agree that it was a trauma bond, but I don't think it was forced so much as it was just like, this is what it is, except for Violet, because she forced her way into that. But also, just like everybody else, what they're not seeing when they look at her is somebody who wants to survive. Now, obviously, that's on her because of the way she portrays herself. She doesn't let on that she's just as vulnerable as they are, that she doesn't want to be there any more than they do. She actually portrays the opposite. So no one's thinking that like Mama Flora's favorite girl will want to leave, but nobody wants the life that they have. She just wears it better than most. But it's not real. It is a facade. It is meant to protect herself and not make her vulnerable, even though she's incredibly vulnerable. I feel like most found family starts in trauma because that's 9 times out of 10 why you're looking for another family is because the one you had was either not good for you or not good to you or both. You know, there's a number of reasons why people end up with friends that are closer, that are their family versus their relatives. So I think it usually starts there, but it becomes so much more. And I enjoyed watching them really become a family, to grow that closeness, for Violet to let her walls down and to expose herself, especially to Aster, because that was the person that she exposed herself most to, because she knew that Aster could handle just who she really was and the fact that I am a bitch. I just am, you know. She's like one of those people that's not the perfect victim, quote unquote. And even though you know that everything that's happening to her is wrong, she's still hard to love. And I appreciate that because those people still need justice. You don't have to be perfect for someone to care about you and for someone to want to do right by you. So I love her inclusion because it says that. It says that you don't have to be a certain way for people to give a shit. So I love their family. And I love Z. And I love that they didn't trust him, especially my girl Aster, because what do you mean you're a man? What do you mean you cozying up to my sister? Like, what do you mean you visit welcome houses? Why you not telling us stuff? I loved it. He had to earn his place. Violet had to earn her place, and it was great. They needed to work for it, and I love when it really clicked. So I was happy
When Z entered the picture, Esther was basically hitting him with that "you better lay low." Like,
every day.
I'm gonna need because them antennas was up heavily when Z came into the picture, which makes sense, right? Like, first of all, he's a man or a boy, however you wanna.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say man. No, I'm gonna say boy. This is young adult.
Mm-hmm.
He's a boy. So right there, off the bat, that's a strike against you. Every man that was in my life caused me pain. Every boy that was in my life caused me pain. I don't trust you.
And he's secretive.
Mhm.
Very secretive.
How do we trust you when you're not honest?
Mm-hmm. And you cozying up to my sister. I just had to help fucking roll the body in the rug and shit. And here you come sniffing
Free
around.
Nelly. Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, no. Plus, as the older sister, when your younger sibling goes off and they have a new person, there
Mm.
is worry there,
Mm-hmm.
there's jealousy there, and there's also when you're a parentified older sibling, it is, why didn't I get that too?
There
Why
you go.
can't I have that? Because even though she has an opportunity to have a different kind of life, she still sees herself as Clem's caretaker. So while Clem is going off and having different types of experiences, she feels like she can't have those things because she has her role. And her role is the caretaker. Her role is to be responsible, not to be carefree, not to have a little fling, not to fall in love. Those are not the things that she gets to do. So you feel like you're losing your person, and you also realize that you lost your entire childhood taking care of someone else's child. So I felt that, and I felt horrible for her. And I was like, ask the girl, me and you just gonna have to meet up and hug, bitch, because it's hard.
Well, looking at all of the different struggles that these young ladies were going through and experiencing, how do you feel about them and their coping mechanisms? Like, how do you feel each girl coped with the different traumatic events that they did experience?
Well, I felt like when it came to, I know when it came to Aster, it was like her very usual, closed off, reserved. There was that, but there was also the flip that happens when she realizes that she can help other girls like her and she can hurt the people that hurt her. There was a switch that I feel like was flipped in her, and it was a brand new coping mechanism. And by the end of the book, it has shifted again because it goes from being about survival, protection, vengeance to being more about justice and choosing the life that she does at the end. When she runs away with her sister, she doesn't really feel like she has a choice. Like, I have to go with you. Like, I would never let you run by yourself, especially knowing who's going to be chasing you and the likelihood that we'll be better off together. Plus, if you die, I would want to be dead too. So there's like literally, I feel like I have no life without you. And that changes by the end. Finally starts feeling like I am a whole person with or without people, with or without a mission. I'm a whole person whether or not I'm helping people or I'm fighting this thing or I'm doing that thing. And she makes the choice to be like a freedom fighter. It's no longer, I just kind of fell into this. This is what I want to do. This is what makes me feel whole in a way. And I really appreciated that. But that was one of her things. And Violet, of course, was coming down from her thing. And I enjoyed that so much. I love watching her evolve. And I know that coming down from drugs is really hard. I've never had to do it. But I just know anytime you use something to numb the pain of things, when you come down and you start to experience all those things for the first time, there's no way in hell that that's not extraordinarily difficult because you're doing something that you have either never done or you haven't done in who knows how long. And I appreciated that they had their little talks, the ones where they could be really honest, like they could be as bitchy as they wanted, as closed off. You know, I don't have to pretend with you. I don't have to pretend that I have it all together, even though I'm the leader. You don't have to pretend like you're not a vulnerable girl just like me, even though you've always had that face on of being so perfectly content with your life. I just really appreciated it.
I think when it comes to Clementine's coping, I think her cope was hope.
I can see that.
Being extremely hopeful, trying to look on the bright side, and just trying to show up. Like Aster's support for Clementine was protection, right? Protection, guidance, watching your back, making sure you're good, getting you to where you need to be so you can be safe, all that stuff. And I think Clementine's support for Aster was, hey, everybody in the world isn't out to get you. The world isn't hopeless. There's a chance. And sometimes you need to look at that side of the coin, which was tough for Aster because, like mentioned earlier, she had that real heavy negative self talking voice within her head. And I think that most of us can possibly relate to that, having that nasty voice that says very not so nice things to you. I think that was a part of Clementine that I enjoyed, that she held on to hope so heavily. Even hope of finding love with Z. Even though Aster one didn't appreciate that too much, but you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm
I think
saying.
you're right about that, though. I think you are right about how she coped with it. And I feel like her way of coping was probably a little bit healthier or a lot healthier than her sister's. But I also understand why. She just hadn't experienced as much as her sister had. She had been physically assaulted, but she hadn't been sexually assaulted in the way that her sister obviously had. Like she hadn't had those experiences. So it's two totally different things, but I really did appreciate that she had that ability to, I'm not going to internalize what happened to me. I'm not my struggles. I'm going to move on, and I have the ability to be happy despite what has happened to me and how people might view me just because I have this flower on me. Cause that, like, everybody knows when you have those favors on you, what that means, what that says about what you've done. And like that's what they would assume. So she still is able to have hope for her future despite knowing how the world looks at her. And I appreciated that because it's hard to be hopeful in a world like that, in a world like this.
You guys touched on Aster and Clem, and I agree with lots of it. I think Mallow and Tansy, their coping mechanism is each other. Right? They're deeply connected. They've had this bond, they're feeling each other, whole boo thing situation there. And I think Z's coping mechanism is the hunt. He's never going to give up. He's going to keep chasing, keep fighting for the opportunity to like find his sisters and help their family get together. That was a coping mechanism. Another thing with Violet's coping mechanism with the drugs and such, the sweet thistle, that she doesn't even realize it's a coping mechanism until the moment that she drops it. And she's like, oh shit, let me get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and how she was willing to miss whatever, you know, caravan they own or whatever, fall out of line for a bit until she realized that it was just way too long. Damn, I gotta go before I get caught out here by these other flying scavengers that want to kill us all. And the reason I say she doesn't even quite know is because she was born into the welcome house. Even though she's a favorite, she never, she didn't have to suffer like the younger girls because of her being like born there or whatever. But the other girls were only given like a certain amount. You can only have a drop. You can only have a drop. But I'm sure as her being a favorite, she was able to get as much as she wanted or maybe double the dose. You know what I'm saying? So I think that she just used it as a fun time, until she realizes that that's what she was doing. Even with those other coping mechanisms, it's looked at as a something you just need versus you're a failure. How dare you? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, you want to go into these welcome houses and kill people? How dare you? It's like, hey, you got to do what you got to do. Same with the sweet thistle. Hey, you had to do what you had to do.
I'm gonna piggy on all that y'all said. Y'all touched on everything. That is so correct. Z, what kept him going, his mechanism was trying to find his sisters. Violet was the sweet thistle at the beginning of the book. What kept her going, I'm gonna say her father, to find out for sure if he's gonna accept her. Esther, I'm gonna say Clementine. Making sure Clementine was safe, but then when she got too overwhelmed, even with Clementine, she did draw back into herself and just separated. But I also will say in the middle of the book, Violet came and helped her deal with some of her coping to show her it's not all about your way of thinking is not necessarily always the right way of thinking. Let me give you a spin. So she was able to piggy or to throw some things at Violet and get Violet's opinion. So I'm gonna say Violet helped her cope towards the middle of the book. And yes, the two friends had each other. Most definitely they had each other. What a cute relationship they had. But they
Hmm.
have.
Fooling around in the trees.
Yes, honey. They were fooling around in the trees.
I really want to talk about the Raveners a little bit, which is, as mentioned before, a hunter who looks for these good luck girls, catches the runaways, brings them back. They play an important role in this story, right? And initially, when you look at them, they are seen as the villains. Why would you capture someone who finally escaped this turmoil just to catch them and bring them back to it? And I wanted to ask you all about the system and the society that's in place that allows for this to be an occupation. So looking at the Raveners, do you feel that they are victims as well?
Think many of them are for sure. If we take the example with Z's dad, he became a ravener because he didn't want to have to sell his family and he wanted to get his family out of debt. He did not realize the toll that it would take on him, that it would literally suck away his soul. And it's all about power. The powerful people, they made the system of debt so that everybody is like for it. So you have the raveners who have to sell their own literally in order to save their families from this debt. And it just goes too far. Just like with like the drug use with the sweet thistle, it just goes too far. And it really made me become a bit more sympathetic. And then at the end, when they are captured and the guy says, "Oh, we can get some raveners in here. It'll be no problem. Everybody's willing to sell their soul to get out of debt." And it was like, wow, I didn't even think about it, as early on. They are using this debt and just, I mean, because people are selling their children for it, right? So it's like, dang. But I felt like selling his soul for his family was the first step before he had to go on and sell his children, which ultimately he still ended up having to do, but yeah, I think they can be sympathetic if they did it for those type of reasons.
Hmm. It's kind of like looking at the Raveners as, yes, it's an issue, right? But it's not the illness itself. It's the symptom of the illness. And I think that this book paints that picture fairly well, and I think that's why Z was so important entering into this group of girls.
Especially since the training and the skills of the Raveners, right? So he was able to go around, use their own techniques against them, know how they manipulated the terrains and they look for tracking, and he was able to get revenge.
My answer is a little bit yes and a little bit no, because not every victim becomes a victimizer, and when they do, you have to hold space for both things, like the fact that what happened to you, and then also the fact that you have happened to other people. I appreciate the duality though. I really wish that we'd gotten to know more types of characters, because you do have a couple areas represented, but I think why the book for me got 4.5 and not 5 is that's one of the failings of it for me, is that the characters are not very well rounded, like character pool, and the characters that we have, there's not much that they do. I can't even think of anything. There's nothing that they do that I don't agree with. And that is a problem for me, because I like my characters a little more complex. I do like to disagree, because that's natural, that's normal, that's real people, and I think that's one thing that just makes a character jump off the page. When there's the dichotomy of their personality, there's more than just, oh, I agree with you, you are well within your rights. Like, nothing that they do is unjust from our perspective, because of everything that we know about them and everything that we know that they've been through. It's like, yeah, this is the thing that you deserve to do. Like, it was done to you, you deserve to get your lick back. I wish that there could have been a Revenant character, and we could have gotten that understanding. Plus, we needed more understanding of the supernatural aspects in this book, period, because they're not just running from people and the bounty on their heads and the reveners. They're also running from real ass ghosts that can harm you. They are not just your kindly Caspers that just show up and can't do anything. They hurt Aster. Like, they injure her. It's something that they have the ability to do. So I think, again, how it or why it didn't get the full 5 stars is because some things just were underdeveloped. Like, I know that she could really do something with it. They need to be a
Oh,
little more multifaceted, and the world building, I just wanted it to be a little more fleshed out. I would have preferred to hear from like one of the Revenant characters because I just think their perspective would have been kind of dope.
so the explanation that Z gave about his dad being a Ravener didn't give you a little bit more perspective into the how and the why.
Definitely, a little bit, not enough because that's still his perspective of his dad and not his dad. You know what I mean? Because even Z is more of a do-gooder character. That's pretty much all of them. I think the closest we get to somebody not being that archetype is my girl Violet. And even her, it still kind of straddles the line of like having the heart of gold buried way, 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 way deep down in her case. But it's still gold. And I just wanted it to be some other color. Give me a little, a little tarnished heart or something. Give me something else and give me that character with as much nuance as the rest of the characters have so that I can decide if I think they're good or bad, if I think they're justified or they're not justified, you know?
I think it's really hard in YA text, you know, to kind of pull some of that off. But I could see why it would be necessary or feel necessary.
Yeah.
It worked for me as a good time.
I had a
And
wonderful time.
I wonder if, like, if I listened to the Ravener, would I have cared? Think hearing it from somebody who watched his addiction go from decent, moderate use to just completely taking over his mind, body, and soul, that probably had more impact for now. But looking, I wonder, like that makes me very curious as how I would see it from the Raveners.
Yeah. I love a what if. I'm just a huge fan of the what ifs in a book. What if Z was a Revener? What if Tansy gave the girls up? Because Tansy was the one who didn't really want to fight. She thought that would be an end to the violence. What if Aster went full murderer? What if Violet killed herself? I'm always asking myself these questions about different avenues that the story could have taken because I just enjoy imagining that type of stuff, but also sometimes it will help me understand where I might think that the story is lacking. And that was one of those areas because I really do feel like a little bit of nuance was lost and the complexity of human nature. It felt like there were no stakes because the characters were kind of infallible in a way. And I knew nothing really bad was going to happen to them after a certain point because they had made it so far for nothing to happen to them. And the world wasn't really set up for it to happen to them. Like, not the world that they live in, but the world of the book, the world that we're reading. It just didn't have that level of complexity. I accept it, but I don't enjoy it. As people were just a bit more complex than that. I wanted to see that represented. I could no, I can't give it no leeway. That's not how I do things.
I actually like the fact it wasn't like no real Black girl trauma. You know what I'm saying? Like they just, I mean, there was trauma, but it wasn't like another one did. Damn, oh, another one. God damn, I was hoping for it. I just felt like it was good. The Black girls got to go on this journey and make it to the end, and they were able to almost coming of age.
I think I'm just a really big fan of realism even when it sucks. Even when it's hard. I just like it, I guess. When it comes to just characters and how people behave, one of my sticking points is I don't want to live it in that suspended like disbelief. It's not a fun place for me to be personally. That's why I don't read like your fun goofy romances where the perfect hero and the perfect heroine get together because there's nothing fun about that level of characterization for me. other people enjoy it because it's just lighthearted. And I'm sitting there frustrated and pissed off because why don't y'all act like real people? So I appreciated it. I just couldn't love it because it was a little bit simplistic, but I really enjoyed it. Like it didn't take away from my enjoyment. It just at the end of the day, I was like, that could have been, that could have been different for me as a reader. But I really loved the book and I love the characters. I love the adventure. I love them being outlaws and just really on some wild, wild west type stuff. It was fantastic. It was a beautiful visual in my mind. I love to see black people in their western wear. They look amazing, like tans and browns and leathers and denim. Ain't nobody doing it like us. So I was having a great time.
Well, you did bring up an interesting point that I actually wanted to use as a stepping stone. So you mentioned that you felt like a lot of the other supporting characters fell flat. And I wanted to ask you all about those supporting characters because a lot of those characters did play a role in helping their journey move forward. Like the Scorpions, for example. Cora is another example. So with these supporting characters, how do you feel they played a role in their success, or do you feel like they really did play a major role in their success?
I definitely feel like they played a role. I think my only issue was they felt like they were there to play roles. So it felt a little less organic and a little more putting them where they need to be for certain things to happen. I like the progression of the story. I just didn't like how forced it felt. I could really feel the author's hand in some of those scenes, and I was just like, I don't like that. But other than that, I really like it when I feel like characters are whole people and they're acting of their own volition, as opposed to feeling like, oh, somebody wrote this and they're making them do this. That has always been a hang up of mine. But otherwise, I like the way that the world was inhabited and the different side quests they got to go on while looking for Lady Ghost. It was fun. I think it would make a really cool movie or like an HBO miniseries or even Netflix, just something because the magic is not super crazy in this book. I think for the Reveners, all you really have to do is give them like contacts and get good actors to sell it and then create the race. Then bam. Like there's not a lot of magic going on. So you could easily do this. I'm gonna start a petition.
I actually believe that some of the most minor characters, played such major roles, even though they were on page for just tiny amounts of time. One example of a character that I really like, that I really hope to see in book two, is Cora, and she was the one who helped her when she escaped to the city to go find Violet after Violet has gone AWOL. And he immediately sees her as soon as she hop out the wagon, okay? And helps her, you know, in exchange for something I forgot. She pickpockets her, which I really like because that shows that she has skill to survive. It explains that it is a few of the shadowless people, the dust blood there, who, live around town because they are so good at sneaking around town that they just kind of leave them alone. But here comes Aster, looking as obvious as possible. And she's like, girl, let me help you out. Snatch your shit and let me help you out, get you where you are. She also recognizes and says, hey, we could really use somebody like you. She doesn't say what the side is, but she helps her find Violet and blah, blah, blah. Other character that does that is when they are being held hostage by the guy with the red mustache. I forgot his name. Um,
Family member of the brag that Clem killed earlier.
yeah. The McLeans or whatever his last name is. Anyway, the boy
McCormick's?
McCormick, the boy who is their water boy, he doesn't say much of anything. He doesn't say anything actually. He just does what he is told to do by the system. And everybody is doing what somebody else is told to do. Everything is based on lies. So They get there and he's quiet, he gives them the water, but when the time comes, he helps them and then they're able to get out. So it's always the people who have the most minor roles who are able to help in a major way. It really helped Aster learn to continue to grow in that trust, continue to grow in her personality because of these kind strangers who helped them. Even though there was like some, you know, give and take back and forth payment for, but it still helped her.
I could see like the first character that you mentioned, the one who pickpocketed Violet when she was, where she wasn't supposed to be. I could absolutely see her coming back because of not Violet, Aster. I could see her coming back because of Aster's role and her ability or her desire to link people together so that she can help as many people as possible. I feel like I could see her coming back as someone in the network that Aster is hoping to help build.
You mentioned that everything is based on lies, right? All of these pieces moving on this chessboard, everybody's moving based off of a lie. Could you elaborate on that?
Okay, so when I talk about everything starting with lies and believing in lies, we're just looking at the very biggest picture of them all. We'll start with the Raveners. The Raveners are told, hey, you'll get out of debt, and all you have to do is, be a bodyguard, not realizing that they suck in the soul out of people because they eventually become nothing. The parents, the families, they're in this amazing amount, atrocious amount of debt. Hey, take your girls to the welcome house. They'll have 3 hots and a cot, and you'll be out of debt. You don't have to worry about it ever again. They send them there. The welcome house girls, their parents are telling them, hey, go. These are all like lies by omission. Hey, this sweet thistle will help you out. You won't feel the pain. It'll make you feel good. That's a lie. You know, Violet, not yeah, Violet and her letter and the Lady Ghosting. She tells them we can go to Lady Ghost. That's a lie. The whole trip is a lie, right? She's like, oh, we're gonna go there, but really her motivation is to go kill her father. Everything, everybody is just corrupted by just lies on top of lies on top of lies. Not necessarily necessary lies, but still, like the whole system, that whole power corruption thing is just a bunch of bullcrap. During the sisterhood talk, y'all were talking about like they trust each other. It really made me think about it because we surviving off of a bunch of lies. Like if we could just all just get down to the nitty gritty of it all and be able to get that freedom to take those choices, even if the choices are piss poor, then what choices would I make? What would be different? But for now, everything has to be as it is because everybody has been lied, manipulated, taken advantage of.
I also want to add to it too. I wanted to make a point about the Scorpions, which is these people, like he know these people, so he takes them to the Scorpions because Mallow ends up getting hurt as they are basically trying to flee away from, I believe it's the is it the Raveners?
No, no, no. Those the bird things came and attacked. Were they birds?
I don't know what they were. I
Yeah,
was
like the
trying
bird
to
ghost thing. Yeah.
I was trying to find like what they're called, and I could not find what they were called. But Mallow ends up getting attacked, and Z is like, "Hey, I know a place where she can get some help, and they're not a part of this fucked up system that we have in place, right?" And I wanted to tie that into what you were saying about everything being a lie is because when you listen to some of the language that the Scorpions are using in conversation, of course we don't get to witness it as readers. We just kind of get told, hey, this is what's happening by another character. It's the ignorance surrounding what a good luck girl is, what they have to deal with. But some of them don't see the good luck girls as having a real struggle because it's kind of like how bad can it really be? Sure, you have to spread your legs every now and then, but you get 3 hots in a cot. You get to see a doctor. You get to see a dentist, that kind of stuff. So I think that that's important as well with the way a lot of people are viewing these girls. And that's based off of a lie.
Yeah, and Candace brought to my attention the mother Flora thing. Okay, and so this was a big one for me too. Violet is only Violet in that way because of the way that Mother Flora has manipulated her. She has lied to her, told her her mother committed suicide, Her mother didn't want her, told her she's the best girl ever. She's told these girls, I'm the best thing that you're ever gonna get. I'm the best. And when you hear that over and over, it's like indoctrinated. It's like a lie. It's like they're putting them into this cult. And they just all get sucked in. So that was just another character. And you're right. The parents are manipulated by the lies of what the Welcome House, and then you have even these groups that are supposedly helpful still looking down on these people. That's a really good point.
Everything is designed to work perfectly the way that is working, right? Like when you hear people say the system is broken, the system is not broken. It's working exactly the way it's designed to work. It's just at the expense of the majority,
The
right?
poor. Yep.
So with that system being put in place and these lies that are being told and this manipulation that's happening, it's just another way of removing the free will of every single human being who wants to do the right thing. Because if you paid people enough, they wouldn't resort to doing some of the scummiest, slimiest shit. If you paid people enough, they wouldn't resort to selling off their kids. If you paid people enough, they wouldn't resort to catching people who are just trying to fucking survive. So it's just all about removing that free will. Take that away, and you have forced slavery. And they don't even recognize that it is slavery in its own way.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. There was so many layers to books, like when you peel them back and look at some of the bigger issues, the system is not broken. The system is the system. It's working the way it's supposed to be.
Okay, so when y'all were talking a little bit ago about like the system and the fact that it works exactly as it's supposed to, when I was reading the book, I was thinking about the fact that the resistance is so broken up and that is also working in favor of the system because the people who are resisting aren't working together, whereas the people who are oppressing are working together. It got me thinking about collective resistance. So, what do y'all think of the collective resistance in the book and how that plays a part in the systematic oppression? Also, does it parallel anything? Y'all have definitely already mentioned the things that I was thinking of that it parallels in our real lives, like, you know, the Underground Railroad and things like that, where you are shuttling people through to other like physical places to get them out of the physical place that they're in. But it is also not just a physical thing, it's something completely different. Like, I was thinking about that so much when I was reading it. Also, when there are victims of abuse and the way that there there are networks in place to move them from place to place to get them away from their abuser, it all kind of mimics that. So, what do y'all think?
I think that was going to actually be my answer. I mean, we see the few examples because, I mean, if this were nonfiction, the world is so big. So you have so many organizations that are underground that are taking place to try to at least dismantle it piece by piece by taking away the quote unquote product, you know. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think with Lady Ghost and the Scorpions, both different organizations that are working to get to the same goal, which is to dismantle this shit. Because we know it's not right. Some of us were involved in this, we have experience with this, and we know it's not right. And now that I've gotten away from it or that I found my freedom, I want to have a hand in helping others gain theirs as well. Because it's all about numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my answer. I hope I answered the question.
I definitely think so. It was mostly about just collective resistance, and I think about how collective resistance can both aid and like break the system. You know, if you're on your own, like the girls, it can be very difficult to fight back. It can be very difficult to survive. It can be very difficult to help others, and you're putting yourself you're putting yourself at a disadvantage every time you help someone else because you are just you. You're not a collective. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so I was thinking about that a lot. And I think that's why the Lady Ghost reveal at the end of the book was so good to me. I was smiling, cheesing ear to ear when I found out that Lady Ghost wasn't a person but a network of people, because that's exactly what you need. To fight systems, you need other systems. You can't just go up against it by yourself. You're going to lose every time. And I think they learned that the hard way.
Um, yeah, I think each system start has to start small. It has to start with, maybe one or two or maybe five, like the girls, right? So, but I do think that the system collectively, and maybe Aster, like you said earlier, maybe Aster will be the link between the Scorpions and whoever Cora's with and the Lady Ghost and build a bigger network so that they can really stop oppression because there wasn't that in the city, right? It was just in like, I want to call it the ghetto, but it's the scab.
Yeah, the
But
scab is where all that stuff goes down.
yeah, so it's like maybe if all three can connect, that would be really good.
I hope that's Aster's role, that she is a link just to strengthen their network and the system that they're trying to build. That is my hope. That's what I really, really want to see in book two. It's just them really building up the resistance because they're fighting for the same things anyway. And like, we need to be fighting together because they're definitely working together against us. I would love to see that for her. Plus, I just think that Aster is growing into a wonderful leader. She's been the leader the whole time. And I think she's growing into that role where she actually feels like a leader. I'm not just the leader because people look to me. I'm the leader because I can lead. And I'm enjoying that for her. To what Erica was saying, when it comes to like the city and how they didn't have those things there, it reminded me so much of the Hunger Games and the Capitol. They don't have that stuff there either, but it's the rest of the world that funnels. So you can't have the city in this book and the Capitol in the Hunger Games without everywhere else. And I just love that that's how it works because that, like in the real world, that's how it works. You have these pockets of like prosperity and wealth, but it is built on the backs of people who are living extremely impoverished lives, who are in the middle, who have a little bit, or some people who have just enough to feel like they're doing something, right? But you have the people that are benefiting from all the rest of those people, and those are your like one percenters who have amassed an amount of wealth that we can't even like dream to visualize. You can't even think about how much money they have visually because it's impossible to even it's impossible to imagine the amount of bills that it would take to have as much money as they have. So I really appreciated that. Again, the dystopias are so connected, and I love being in them. They're probably my favorite young adult like genre is dystopia. They do it really well.
So, moving on to the next topic, let's discuss the justice and revenge that takes place within this book. Those themes are heavy as well. Let's get on to our girl Violet. As we move forward in the story, we find out that Violet, of course, was born into the Welcome House because her mother was a good luck girl. But all that she really knows is that her mom used to tell her these stories, which is how she knew about Lady Ghost in the first place. And also that her father, or sperm donor, probably would be a better term, was a brag, somebody who was being entertained in the Welcome House. So Violet has her own hidden agenda that the other girls do not know about. And she goes AWOL, and Esther is kind of wondering what's going on. They all find this letter that leaves behind that her mother wrote her. So that's when Esther takes that journey to go off and find Violet. And when she eventually does make contact with Violet, she's sitting on the steps of her father's home. And she's pretty much broken at that point because she realizes that he decided to not choose me. She went there to kill him, but she couldn't go through with it. So, how do you all feel about that? Do you feel like that would have been justice served? Or it would have been revenge if Violet had gone through with it. And how do you feel about the fact that she didn't get to go through with it?
I definitely feel like it would have been, it felt like vengeance to me. It also felt like a young girl being upset for not being chosen, for not being loved, for not being cared for. Because even though you didn't come back and get her mom, you know, and make her wife and take her out of the life, you could have taken your daughter when you found out that her mother died, you know. You could have raised her. You could have given her the life that all of these children deserve. And you chose not to, but you did it for two other children. And I totally get where she was coming from. I feel like it was vengeance, but I also feel like if you abandon your children, you get what you get
Yeah.
from those children. And it is not up to me to decide if it's right or wrong. I just felt like you need to get this off your chest. You're trying to get your closure anyway that you know how, and you probably don't know how to get it in a healthy way yet. But I am glad that she didn't go through with it because she absolutely would have been murdered. And not only did I not want to see her be murdered, but I also didn't want her to be dead because she had things to atone for. And I feel like when people die in books and in real life, that atonement is just one is gone. You don't have that opportunity. But also, people love to act like once you're gone, you weren't a piece of shit. And you were. You're just dead now. Like, that's not, that doesn't change anything about how you treated people, right? And I appreciate that she is alive and that she gets to continue growing and making amends to the people that she hurt when she had the position that she did. Like especially her friends who have become her family, you know, I like that she gets that opportunity to be a real friend to them, to be by their side, to have their backs, to be a confidant, to be there for them to talk to them, to show them who she really is. I love that she gets that chance. And if she dies, she doesn't get that chance. So I loved all of that. But I did feel really, really bad for her when she was crying on the steps because my girl Violet ain't never been down that bad. He
That's
hurt
right.
her heart. Raggedy bitch.
Sorry, bastard. At that point, Violet, I'm gonna work backwards to the question that you asked. When Esther found Violet on the steps crying, that broke me, broke my heart to the point where I was crying. Because realistically, I thought Esther said, "You know what? Too, I'm bouncing. I got what I took. Got a knife. I'm going to find Mother Mother Ghost. Is it Mother Ghost?
Lady
It
Ghost.
goes.
Lady Ghost. Find Lady Ghost. I see y'all later." But to see that she was going to find her father to, I guess, his permission or his rights to own her or to claim her, that hurt. You see that today. You see where kids are fighting against getting their parents' attention because they're either on drugs, got a new boo in their life, or out here hustling, and they just want to be seen. They want you to spend time with them and love them. And when she saw her siblings and they looked exactly alike, he didn't take the time or even come to get her after her mother passed. and or after, let's say that her mother didn't pass, after her mother left and she was at that house and you couldn't come and get your own child, what a sorry man you are. But I will say I saw Violet grow as an individual. I don't consider her a coward because it took a whole lot of woman, number one, to go find her father. You travel, you've been through so much to come to get to that final spot and realize he's not even worth my energy to kill. But I applaud her. A lot of people say no, she didn't complete the assignment, but I'm going to say she did, because at that present time and moment, it showed that you don't need no man, no person to validate who you are as an individual and as a woman, as a strong Black woman, because you've been through so much, sweet girl. You have a story to tell. For her, in my opinion, justice for Violet, because she found out her worth. He's not worth even the blood, sweat, and tears that I crossed over, but I did this for me so I could say I know. But at the same time, I couldn't do it without the help of my family that was created through escaping the house. So it was justice for all, not just Violet, but for all of them, because she found her identity. She found out how much she was worth as a person.
Man, she got that closure.
Yes.
My baby. She needed a hug. Didn't Aster hug her? I feel like she did. I could be wrong.
I want to say she did.
I feel like she did. Like, I
And
feel
then,
like she took that moment to give her the TLC that she needed
mhm.
because they had grown a friendship and she did grow to really care about her. Because, like, otherwise, what you going, you, like, looking for her. We need to be figuring out where the hell Lady Ghost is, but I'm going to go find Violet first. And I love that. I can't lie. I was so glad that she went to get my girl.
Did anybody get vibes that they may be trying to like hook up on, like that they were like starting to
Me,
feel
me,
each
me, me,
other's?
me.
Yes.
I was on
If
that
I
shit.
saw them vibes.
if they don't get together in book two, I'm going to be highly upset.
I was the only one who didn't catch it.
Cause
Not necessarily. I mean, because it could just be the gay in me that saw it.
I mean, it could be the gay in me as well because I saw it, I felt it, I was ready for it.
I'm not gay, but I seen it.
Some about them just gives a little bit more than friends, especially like in the way
Yes.
that they react to each other. It's
Mm-hmm.
subtle, but it's there. It's like, I don't like the way you're acting for a multitude of reasons. Also, like, I'm kind of feeling you now, so you can't just be hurting my feelings every kind of which way, because I'm starting to be open to you like a delicate flower, and you trying to step on me. It gave that so much, and I need that because like I love Tansy and
Mallow.
Mallow. I want to call her Momo so bad. Tansy and Mallow. This cool, it's cute, it's whatever. It's off to the side. Okay. Y'all are not main characters. Y'all are for the show's secondary side characters, okay? And it's fine because y'all need to be there, and I love that for y'all. And I do love everything we learned about y'all. I mess with it. But there is a vibe between Aster and Violet. And I don't think either of them like men for a multitude of reasons. I'm ready to get this whole, this sapphic thing popping off. So, again, I will be starting book two so very soon. And there better be some kissing. Just a
You
little
Okay.
bit of kissing. Not a
you
lot.
got what I need.
But I'm gonna say this. So you said you think Violet is alive still.
Yeah. Because
Or
she's
did I miss something? Because I know
girl, she at the end of the book with them. And she goes
I
off to Canada.
I thought she was left. Like they, unless I was still crying and grieving that they left Violet behind
They
because
didn't
she
leave
was.
her. She left them.
I'm about to say, I remember she left. Either way it goes, she
Yeah,
wasn't there.
she left them.
She was gone.
And she left them with the letter so that they could find Lady Ghost because she was basically going on a suicide mission.
I
once
know, but
she killed her dad, she knew that she was going to be taken out of the picture. So,
She
but
planned to kill herself.
yeah,
yeah,
so
she
like
planned to kill herself.
it's her, that was her, for her final hurrah. But Aster said, I ain't having that. And instead of going off to find Lady Ghost and figuring that whole thing, she went to go get Violet because Violet is a
No, no,
part
no. I'm
of.
fast forward. Fast forward. Let's go with fast forward.
Yeah, she's alive because she went off to Canada with
No,
um what's that girl name?
No,
Clem.
no,
no.
no,
After
no.
after they fled the jail with the boy who gave him the water or whatever,
Mhm.
she basically passed out. They hadn't eaten in days.
Yes.
She had just recovered from the sweet thistle.
Oh,
Like
y'all
that
talked
day,
about that.
that first day was her first day off sweet thistle completely
Mm-hmm.
because she had been weaning herself down. And that was the first those days, no food, no sweet thistle. She passed out. They told her to leave and asked, like, just kind of gave her a really tearful goodbye and left her in the dust. And
Oh,
then,
that
like,
happened? I forgot
yeah,
about that.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
she
where
she alive.
That's why I gave the book a 4. I don't do the point 0.5. I gave it a 4 because my girl, y'all made me hate the character Violet at the beginning. I fell in love with her in the I started loving on her in the middle. At 75%, I'm in love with this broad. And then now we leaving her. She gone.
I do
Look.
remember that now, but I do think she's alive. It goes back to what I was saying earlier about how this book, I think that was one of the things that I blacked out of my mind because I thought it was silly to do that. Like
Mhm.
if you're going to kill her, right? I would have preferred for her to have committed suicide than to leave it on a, is she dead? Find out next time. Like, I hate that. I hate that. And 9 times out of 10, if you don't see a body, they're not dead. This is just the author, their way of manipulating emotions out of you. And that's why it pissed me off rather than made me sad. I was just like, please don't try to manipulate me, ma'am. This is not my first time reading a book. You
Did you say
cannot do this to me. You
manipulative?
can't get this over on me. But yeah, I think she's alive strictly because we don't see her die. If she's dead in the second one, I will be pleasantly surprised, but also I'll still be pissed because why didn't you just have her die on page then? Like, that makes
Thank
no
you.
sense. It would have been far more emotionally compelling if we saw her die, like as a sacrifice for her friends. But like the way it was done, I just don't think it's possible. I'm pretty sure she's coming back. More incentive to read the second one.
Do you think Z's sisters are alive?
No, I think at least one of them is dead. Honestly, I'm kind of hoping because somebody needs to die. That was another one of my issues with the book. For as dangerous as the world is, for no one to have died is very weird. Like, the characters have plot armor in a way where the danger is there, but it doesn't really touch them, you know? And it should. It needs to because that's the world that you live in. At least for me, that's the world that they live in. And I wish that they weren't just able to get through everything because that cheapens it for me and it does make it feel like it's written for a much younger audience, like maybe one that can't really wrap their minds around death. So instead of finding a way to explain death to them, they just don't have it happen. Except for that one dude that they murdered, but his death didn't matter. It was also like a triumphant moment. At no point does anyone feel sad for him. Not even when his family comes around. We don't even feel sad for them. And they're grieving, but no one cares. So there wasn't a death that happened in this that mattered. And I feel like that's a failing in a book like this. Somebody should have died.
Well, that brings me to my next question. Were you all satisfied with the ending of this book?
Yes.
No.
I like the last 10%. I just didn't like, the prior maybe 30-40% of it because of just how wishy-washy everything got after a while. It was a bit formulaic, repetitive, and again, like the stakes were either low or just non-existent for the characters because they're protected by the plot. But that like the end where Clem and Z and I think Tansy and Mallow, they go off to Canada and Aster decides she makes that choice that she wants to be a part of the Lady Ghost Network. And you can see that it's like her story is building up to that from the very beginning. She doesn't want the life that her sister wants. And she also finally has confidence in the fact that even though we're living separate lives, even though we're living separate types of lives, that does not change the fact that you're my sister and you care about me. Like you're not going to go off and forget about me. And of course, I'm not going to forget about you. You know, that doesn't change who we are to each other just because we have our own identities. I love that. I love them falling asleep together. Y'all, that is when I cried because just viewing their sisterly bond in the moment where they had safety and security, and it was also so bittersweet because they knew they were going their separate ways. It hurt me, but like in a really healthy cathartic way. It wasn't bad. It was just the discomfort of change and growth as people. This is something that they had to do. They can't cling to each other forever. You know, you have to eventually be your own people. And then at the very, very end, where Aster changes her tattoo from something that was meant to oppress her and mark her as property, she changed it into something else, into the sunshine, which was so important to her from the very beginning because that's why she loved her room because of the window. I loved it and I wept and I'm ready for book two. Just inject it into my veins. Mainline it, please. So I was satisfied. Safe to say.
Candace, you said no. Why were you not satisfied with the ending of the book?
Because they left my girl. Told y'all. Y'all made me hate this. I'm not gonna say hate, dislike this child at the beginning of the book. Then again, I grew to love her. My love developed, just like how our relationship would develop. And then just to see my girl just wither, not wither away, but faint in the forest, and the rest of the crew, the family, have to go on without her. All right. Then again, it goes back to Z. We saw that he was looking, searching high and low for his sisters, and we find there's no nuggets dropped through the book. And if there were, I need to make sure I didn't miss them. But you don't hear anything about his sisters. If they are anywhere or alive, are they in are they in the caves? Did they make it over to Cadia? It's a lot of what ifs.
Sounds like you're gonna have to pick up book two.
Oh yeah, I'm most definitely picking up book two. I'm not gonna pick it up until probably next week, but I am picking up book two.
Nice. I would say I think that I'm satisfied with the ending simply because there is a book two. If there was not a sequel to this, I would not be happy at all. I hate ambiguous endings. I cannot stand that.
I think I'm kind of the same way. I am satisfied with the ending, even more so because book two is already out, which is why I don't read books like when they first come out because I hate the whole waiting thing because I don't want to reread it in order to complete the thing. Felt that like there was a good enough conclusion at the end, even though there were some things that were left in the air. Is Violet alive? At this point, at the end of this text, it doesn't necessarily matter because they made it. Everybody had their options. Everybody had the opportunity to move on and to do something else. And so it felt like a good enough conclusion, even though I know that there's more to the story. I'm really excited about, finally getting to the second text.
Nice. All right. Well, with this, we are going to wrap it up with a little thing that I want to call No Topics Left Behind in my troll's voice. Um, and I basically want to open up the floor to you ladies to bring up anything that you feel like we did not get to touch on. before, so we can do a quick discussion about it and then we can wrap it on up. Does anybody have anything that they want to talk about that was not talked about previously?
Me,
Go ahead, Candace. You got the floor.
yes, I would like to discuss how the crew robbed the Brags and the bank heist.
Oh
That
yeah, we didn't get to the bank.
the
Wow.
bank heist was I was nervous, but it was on point. I yeah, yeah. That was hype. You see Esther getting Z on board. You either in it or you're not. You either for the family or you're not for the family. With or without you, the girls and I are going to do it. I don't need a man to help me do what we need to do. We're going to do it. Then to get to the point where she was so nervous that she was entering the wrong pen to get to the shine. And then she had another set of eyes, young eyes, help look and say, "Hey, that's not a 7, that's a 1." And then she heard the clip. And then the sheriff department or the police talking about put your hands up, you're surrounded. And they were able to get away because you see everybody using their skills to get them out of the bank. That was so hype. That was on point. Oh my goodness.
That was a cool scene.
That was a cool scene. Had you sitting on the edge of your seat, like, oh my God, are these girls gonna get caught? Oh my God, they're getting ready to go to jail. They get ready to die. They're going back to the house. No. Yeah.
Definitely a good moment of tension. I appreciated that. I liked their first robbery of the Brags the best, probably just because it was so raw, it was so real, it was so unplanned. And I love the spontaneity of seeing your moment, your opportunity, and taking it, even though you're not prepared for it. Because sometimes that's exactly what you needed to do. You needed to have enough tenacity to go after what you wanted. And in this case, they, wanted to fuck some shit up. I support this message. What do the women who beat men look like? I'm just saying. They look like them.
Right. Um, One of the things I wanted to talk about is I brought up names and identities earlier, and how when they're brought to the house, they kind of have to relinquish their names and they receive this brand. It makes them who they are now. But once they leave, they begin to tell each other their names because they really feel like, I want you to know who I am. But the names of Aster, his name was Grace, and Clementine's name was Dawn. Think that was such an intentional part on the author's role, because remember when you were talking about the coping mechanisms and Clementine's being hope. It's really like it's tied to her name. Her name is Dawn. And what do you think about? Everybody knows, but joy comes in the morning. The sun will come out tomorrow. Like you always think about a new day, a new horizon, a new chance, a fresh start when you think about the dawning of a new day. Esther was the angry Black woman, the angry Black girl, and it was okay for her to be angry because she had a lot of shit to be angry about. However, she was given so much grace. She was giving grace to all these people, and that's what kind of helped them go through. And so I just wanted to, bring up the importance of the names, the intentionality behind the author. For this to be a debut novel, she did a phenomenal job. Phenomenal job.
I agree with you there. For it to be a debut, it was damn near perfect. I think I'm gonna change my rating to 4.75 because I still don't feel like that 5 for the things that bothered me. But I feel like if she continues growing, I feel like book 2 could get my 5, and like her future products probably could as well because I like the way she writes. I just enjoy it. And I like the agency that she gives her characters, like the freedom to be angry while also showing us everything that they have to be angry about. Grief, to use substances, to escape your pain. All of that stuff and just where it comes from. It's not demonized. It's just presented as this is who these people are. This is why they are the way that they are. And you, the reader, can kind of decide if you're messing with it or not. I appreciate that. Okay. So my two questions are this. Am I the only one who was fucking with Violet from the beginning?
I believe so.
Hmm. Yes, the only that I can say, speaking for myself.
Oh, okay. Well, that was an easy question. All right. So we've all been very nice. Y'all probably nicer than me. What didn't you like about the book? I feel like everybody usually has at least one thing. So what was your one thing that you just didn't like about the book? No filters, nothing. What was it?
We think. Huh.
I know mine.
I didn't I guess I didn't look for anything that I didn't like in the book. And not how, like it's not how I read. Like it didn't like get on my nerves, so to speak. If I had to choose one thing, wish we would have had a little bit more time in the welcome house. I didn't need to see like violence on page or anything like that, but I could have just seen the dynamics a bit more. They dropped lots of hints about like, oh, you have to clean up from sunup to sundown. Oh, you have to be with these brags. But I would have liked to know a little bit more, like, you know what I'm saying? Like more of the day to day. I guess another is I really wish we could have gotten more into Violet's head about how she struggled with the addiction, how she got started, how it felt weaning off of it, how she felt being accepted by these people who she's constantly mistreated, how she felt being, lied to. So I would have maybe liked like one of those change of point of view things. I'm not gonna say I disliked it, but I think that would have been a great addition to it for me personally, just because of the lens I read it through.
Okay.
The only thing that I can really think about that I didn't really care for in the book was the escape, because it did feel a little bit out there.
Bit far fetched for you.
Yeah, just a smidge. Uh, but I don't know. I think other than that, I didn't really hate anything or dislike too many things.
What about you, Candace?
Well, I'm not gonna say I hate. I didn't hate. I can't. I enjoyed the book overall. I enjoyed the book. I can't say the sneakiness because you need Z in his sneakiness. Mother Flora, I will say. That old woman, she and yes, she was be doing her job because she was the mother of the house. But to tell the girls it's gonna be the one of the best days of your life, you're gonna feel like a woman. No, no. If I should have the choice to be able to screw whomever I want to, not you choose for me, or I shouldn't. Yeah, that part right there really ticked me off. I'm gonna say ticked me off. But overall, the book was great.
Nice. For me, I think I've touched on mine a couple times. I just felt like the stakes were too low. That was my number one issue. After a while, the plot armor on the main characters was just so obvious to me that nothing was going to happen to them, which I think also played a part in the reason why I don't think Violet is dead, because it just doesn't seem like something that the author would allow to happen, because she just wouldn't allow it to happen to any of them. Even though I think it would be an enriching experience. Not Violet, not yet. She hasn't even had her sapphic awakening, but afterward, I wouldn't mind, if somebody died in a meaningful way, or in a realistic way. Whatever way is realistic, let's go with that. But yeah, plot armor and low stakes are my only real issues with the book. Everything else I feel like can be chalked up to being a beginner. Because like writing certain characters better than others is also usually a sign of just somebody being early on, and you develop that as you go along. The ability to give all of your characters depth and not just some of them, or to have them all be multidimensional, versus just some, like you just you just kind of gain those skills, and I'm fine with waiting on that. But I need my stakes to be real. I need the danger to be real. If it's not real, it takes me out of it so bad. Ain't nobody gonna die or nothing.
Oh God. Okay.
I need them actions to have real life consequences. That is all I'm asking.
I think the last two things that I wanted to bring up was number one, the desperation. But the desperation comes in is that they know that these demonic creatures exist. And
Mm-hmm.
I do not know what they're called. I really tried to find what they were called. I could not find it. But
Aren't they called wraiths? Am
I
I
have
tripping?
I have no idea. I
I'm gonna
can't
look.
I can't confirm nor deny.
Go ahead.
But
I'm gonna look because I'm pretty sure I wrote it down.
but
The
to
ghosts are the remnants. I don't know what the birds are though.
Remnants. Okay.
remnants. Well, to know that you have these paranormal, magical creatures, whatever, out there, and they are extremely dangerous, and they're willing to take that chance. It made me think about the whole man versus the bear argument because it's kind of like I might get hurt in both scenarios. However, one scenario is going to just take me out and that's it. Whereas the other scenario, things can be so much worse. So it just kind of, I did appreciate that aspect of it as far as like really painting the picture of just how bad things were in the Welcome House without saying it. And then the second thing I wanted to talk about was women, womanhood, sisterhood, which I know we did touch on sisterhood quite a bit earlier, but I wanted to talk about the protector part of it. And I know we talked about that with Aster in the beginning, but I walked away from this book feeling like there's no protection like the protection from another woman. If you feel like I don't know, it's like when women come together and they like form this shield around one another and it's like I got your back, you got my back and we gonna have each other back and that's just how it's gonna be. That shit feels so fucking powerful and unstoppable in a way that I can't even put into words. And I really loved that in this story. Lady Ghost, ultimately. I appreciate that
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Lady Ghost was awesome.
It just proves that women are the blueprint. We are the backbone. We are everything.
Hmm.
Truly, there was always a woman behind something.
I loved it. Oh, wait, I lied. There's one more thing I did want to touch on. Clementine's ability to like sense those creatures.
Mm-hmm.
I do wish that that would have been, I don't know, I feel like that could have showed his face a little bit more. Yeah, I feel like it was mentioned, and we did see examples of it, like little pieces, because when they stole the Bragg's ring, and that's kind of like what kept these entities away from them when they were on their journey or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
Clementine was able to sense them, and she was like, they're not coming near us. We're fine. I don't know why they're not coming near us, but they're not. I don't know. I feel like that just was like it just came and went like a fart, you know?
I think that's the part of the thing where I was talking about earlier, just about how the supernatural element was there, but it wasn't used to the best of its ability. I feel like without the supernatural element, the book is the same. So when you can just take something out of a book, a movie, a script, anything, where you can just remove it and it doesn't change the overall anything, that's how you know that you need to tighten it up or take it out. And I really feel like it could have been taken out and the book probably would have been stronger for it. And if you didn't want to take it out, if you really wanted it to be, like a supernatural dystopian, then you needed to strengthen it so that it doesn't feel like it's there and then gone like a fart.
It feel like it pained you to say that.
It hurt me physically.
All right, are all hearts and minds clear? Quoting our amazing Erica.
Yes, I do declare that they are.
You did a great job, Danny. Thank you so much for leading the discussion and choosing a great book for us together.
Yes, she did. Great job.
It was awesome.
Thank you. So, for those of you who are listening, I hope that you enjoyed this discussion. And if you haven't read the book, please go pick it up. We spoiled most of it, but still, if you don't care, if you don't care, go read it anyway. Go
Right.
support the author.
Yes. She deserves it. She really does.
Very much so. Please come back and see us next month. So the next Core 4 book will be Groove by Bernice McFadden. So if you want to go ahead and grab that, read it, and then, of course, come back and listen to the discussion that will be posted in April, please do. With that being said, we send so much love from the dark side. And if you want to join, just let us know in the comments. Please comment, like, share, subscribe, show us some love. And we will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.